What up? Minor update. So the prospect agent is actually working. It's creating leads, and I'm thinking rather than prompting it to find about 50 leads per session, I'm thinking of why don't I just break it down into smaller micro tasks so it doesn't say stagnate, create less performative work and things like that, and more so just focus on high quality lead generation and then not breaking, adding things into the CRM properly, and then from there really just moving on. And I think the best way really about it is to have these narrow agents do very specific tasks and in a very specific way so they don't mess up, you know what I mean? So small narrow tasks, you can break up the task into little pieces, and pretty much from there you can have multiple cron jobs spawned throughout the day, or just before a specific task is scheduled so the deliverables can be ready. So rather than having these things spawned and going out there to do, say, 100 web scraping jobs, or web scrapings for a specific result or whatever, why don't you break it down into 25 or something more manageable so it's high quality and it doesn't break? Well, at least what I'm doing is I'm using parallel AI to do web search and just scraping through that. So it's probably not as efficient as, say, using a API scraper or something like that from Appify, but nonetheless, it's just the tools I'm using and it's just within my means, and it's all hooked up right there, so I'd rather just use that myself. But we're doing that and it's working. The other thing I wanted to show you is I am pretty much creating these automations where you can pretty much have the bot now what I'm doing is I'm trying to build a newsletter. So this is a new thing, a newsletter in the local area, or just even to this whole brand I'm building around Operationify, which is the whole thing here. I'm trying to build a newsletter and to basically get people within the business, because this is actually going to be the business. It's the newsletter and all the upsells, the cross sells, the downsells, the promotional offers, the limited time offerings and things like that. As long as I can contact these people and mention any other offers I have, they are within my business. The business is not basically the initial front end offer, the attraction offer, whatever. The business is the email list. As long as I have the email, I can always do something with it. I can contact them, whatever. If you want to see a video on that, I can make a more fuller video on that. But nonetheless, that's just kind of the thing, the main idea behind what people think a business is, which is the mistake people do is they advertise directly to the product and they think the product itself is a business. But in my opinion, and from what a lot of these, I guess you can say top tier entrepreneurs, whatever they do, is they really frame the whole entire business around the email list. At least for email marketers and people inside online business, that's the business model itself, is the email list versus the product itself or the service. People think that you have to be profitable right off the bat on the front end, but really, as long as you have the email and maybe even break even on the front end, you can always profit on the back end, because the back end, you just sell them more things, sell them more times, sell them more expensive things. You know what I mean? Because your LTV is really just your inability to sell them more times and more expensive things over time. You know what I mean? It's what's your LTV when you go to a grocery store? It's probably very high, you know what I mean? Especially if you live by a grocery store, it's very convenient. This grocery store, they probably, they're milking the hell out of you because it's convenient. You go there all the time. So it's probably a couple grand, you know what I mean? As in terms of how much you're worth to them as a customer. So the same thing applies here. If your LTV is just $50, well, that's it. You just always have to find new customers, and that's a problem. Whereas the most profits and the most revenue comes from selling people more times and more things. So that's kind of a little masterclass. Anyway, that's my rant on email list. I was able to send out a email. So it's actually, just scheduled out and sent out 3 minutes ago. And pretty much I created a value first email. I'm not sure if you can read the contents. One thing I have to do now every time I, set these emails, or what's called these recordings, is I have to make sure autofocus is on. I don't know why my camera doesn't do that. I'm using a Canon EOS M50, by the way. But this email pretty much goes over what an agent is, what an AI is, what can it actually do for people. And I don't have the whole welcome series flow or anything like that built out. I'm just going to start with, I'm going to just start with meeting where the people are at, what kind of conversations I had and things like that. And just pretty much go from there and just adding value, right? It's always just adding value, pretty much creating these sort of sign field type emails where it's it's a conversation literally about nothing, but at the same time, you're getting a bunch of value and you're just pretty much saying it throughout the week. You know what I mean? Don't overthink it. Don't think you have to do like these crazy listicles, these topics. It's just more so like what's going on in your life. Tell a story. What's something you can meet your current customer at, or like the contact lead at right now, and just talk about value. You know what I mean? It's like AI agents. You can talk about 1,000 different angles around the same exact concept. It doesn't really matter. Just find a new angle, another way you can talk about the same thing, and that's it. You know what I mean? You just need like 3, 4, 5 things to talk about, and you can talk about it in 1,000 different ways, as crazy as that sounds, right? But here it's literally just talking about a common conversation and topic that most of these people talked about when I got on a call with them. And it's, what can this thing do for me? They're a little bit new. They're kind of unsure. So it's pretty much just something very beginner friendly, light. And it's like, hey, you can like do these things. You can save this amount of hours. You know what I mean? Like what's saving 4 full work week hours per week worth to you per year? That's like over 150 hours per year. You know what I mean? They could be doing other things. So I'm trying to really like paint that, or just what's it called? Agitate them with that pain point, and then get them to book a call. So every single time I'm sending out these emails, it's going to be to book a call or give them a soft pitch. And the email is not going to be about the pitch, but you always want to include a pitch. You know what I mean? So the email is pretty much just about the value first topic, whatever, and then naturally fusing in the soft call to actions somewhere strategically within the body text, or say a final PS statement like, oh, hey, by the way, if you've not already booked a call, or you think there's something valuable you found in this email, you can book a call here. Or if you want this specific offer, blah, 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 then do this action here. You know what I mean? Always give the person some sort of action or thing to do. But yeah, that's my morning little value drop here. And rest of the day, I think that the main thing I'm gonna have to prioritize today is the AI assistant angle. It's not really working, and the way moving forward from here, what I think I have to do is I probably have to try another angle. And I think, like I said, I believe I mentioned it yesterday, but the other angle I'm probably gonna try with the advertising is towards the angle where it's around a specific outcome. You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, I'm not serving a specific business owner here. That's the problem. I'm just gonna have to figure out some way to frame it. So that's gonna be cooking my brain today. But yeah, let's see where it goes.
I'm just having these thoughts about why isn't the offer working and why aren't things going my way. And it's easy to blame, you know what I mean? You can easily blame people. You can blame society, the world, whatever. And I was just on a walk, and I'm just trying to think to myself, what's going on here? What happened? Why was there this traction and then all of a sudden it dried up? And I'm just thinking, well, let me change my state. So I changed my state to, I've been reading a lot of Tony Robbins, all right? So don't grill me up. But when you change your state, you can change your focus. And when you change your focus, you can ask better questions. And it's really just a bottleneck to the types of questions you ask in your life. Because if you're asking shitty questions and you're focusing on the wrong things, you're just gonna get more of that, which, is quite ironic. If you just focus on why things suck, you're just gonna focus more on why your life sucks. You know what I mean? It's mainly because of this part of your brain called the reticular activating system or mechanism or something like that. I forget what it's called, whatever. I think it's called REM, yeah, reticular activating system, or RAS. I think that's what it is, yeah, RAS. And if you're focusing on the wrong things in life, you're just gonna get more of that, you know what I mean? And I'm just trying to change my state, change my focus, and that's what I did on the walk. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, how everything's playing out, the offer, whatever. And I came to the conclusion that I just have to figure out how to be more valuable to society, you know what I mean? Because when the first people initially hit me up for the offer, they saw something in that offer that's valuable to their lives. You know what I mean? It's kind of selfish, but at the same time, that's just kind of what it is. People are selfish and they just want to take care of their own lives, their families, their wealth, whatever. And in this case, putting everything into context, I found where I just came across a really good question. You know what I mean? Like, why is my life this way? And the question that I came to is, how can I really become valuable to society and just people overall? You know what I mean? How can I be the most valuable person to society? And I feel like it struck a chord in me, and it's so important to me because this is something I can focus on and calibrate my mornings every single day when I look at my journal with just a simple question. You know what I mean? Like, how can I show up the most valuable person to society in my environment, my local city that I'm based in right now, and do things that are extremely valuable to people. And after thinking about, the angle and like how I can go about the offer, I think I found the angle, you know what I mean? And it's really just two things, really, when you think about what business owners want. And that is, they want to save time and they want to save money, or they maybe want to make more money. It just really revolves around two things. It's just anything around money and anything really involving time. So the way I can structure the offer and where I can take it is, how can I get these people back an extra 10 to 20 hours per week guaranteed? You know what I mean? It's just really selling the vacation, selling the outcome, what these people freaking want. You know what I mean? Not everyone's going to want OpenClaw, or like not everyone knows what an AI agent is, but of course there are people who knows what like AIs are, right? But I think that's what I have to reframe everything around, is just how can I get these people back an extra 10 to 20 hours per week? Guaranteed. You know what I mean? Or we work for you for free, or it's free. You know what I mean? Like, I'm selling the outcome, the vacation. I will literally work for you for free until you get an extra 10 to 20 hours back per week, guaranteed. You know what I mean? And that's a bold statement. Some of the people I spoke to, they literally are just banging their heads against the wall because of how frustrating content creation is, or doing all this other shit that's costing them a lot of money. You know what I mean? Training people, onboarding, whatever. So that was my pretty big realization, and it really all just stems from that one question. And we're gonna find out through time whether or not it makes sense, or if this question really is that valuable as I say it is. You know what I mean? But it's really just that one question: how can I show up the most valuable person to society today? And figuring out who am I serving, which in this case, like as you can say, local Sacramento business owners. I'm still gonna be refining that, but based on my ads, and then on a broad level, like broadly speaking, what do these people value? Time and money. Okay, so I'm just gonna start with time. How can I get you back an extra 10 to 20 hours per week guaranteed, or I work with you for free until you do? You know what I mean? Something like that. I'll refine the offer. But that's the angle I'm gonna take it, and I think that's gonna work. And it may have to, perhaps I may have to change how I am like positioning and structuring the offer, but broadly speaking, when it comes to like the outcome, selling the outcome, I think that is it. And I think that's probably gonna work. But we'll see. I have to factor everything, all the pieces together, and see how it's gonna work, because it's the morning now, it's 10 a.m. And quite honestly, I haven't gotten any bookings since the new AI assistant angle. You know what I mean? It is what it is, but that's just that, and you have to just accept it. You know what I mean? So we're not gonna bitch about it. We're just gonna find solutions to our problems, and we're gonna get out of this mess.
Yo. Now, after some thinking about earlier how I should proceed forward, I figured the most way I can be valuable to businesses out here in the area is if I can save them time. And the offer I'm structuring is going to be get 15 hours back every single week. And the idea is, how the offer is going to work is, we are going to advertise the end destination, the outcome, pretty much doing everything the same under the hood. Nothing really changing. We'll kind of see what people are coming to me for, why they're coming to me for this, what they're asking about. We'll see, But in essence, everything's under the hood the same. And on the outside, it's really just going to be get 15 hours back per week, guaranteed. And the way it works is, I'll show you here on my landing page, but pretty much the way the offer is structured is, the AI assistant, it gets set up for free, and then we build automations until the person is saving 15 hours per week. So you still sell the person with the basic free setup, which is pretty much the thing people really want, the setup, the assistant. And or I don't want to say people want that, because we don't know. I think what they really want is their time back, but we attract them in with something for free. And then we pretty much upsell them on the fact that, hey, you'll get this free AI assistant. And the way it's going to work is, we are going to build you this automation, and we're going to keep on building you automations every single month until you pretty much save 15 hours per week. It could be much sooner, it could be much later. But the idea is, we want to hopefully have a sort of like high ticket close from the beginning. So it's roughly maybe somewhere between a $3,000 to $4,000 close up front, because pretty much we are, factoring in the setup costs and everything into the offer, and the person can do. Man, now there's like a logic fault there, because the idea was, I think what I should do, I think the offer, the way it's gonna work when I get on a call with anyone, it's either gonna be something like you're gonna either do $3,000 up front, and that's it. You'll keep getting it for 3-4 months. These automations, we're just gonna keep on building you. So we're trying to get this done. Like the end outcome is trying to be delivered by like week 12, so 90 days. So we're gonna keep on building this until you're saving 15 hours per week. Or if they don't pay upfront, we're gonna put them on a recurring. So you're gonna sign up to a 6-month recurring, right? And we're gonna keep on building these automations every single month until you are getting your time back. Because we're trying to sell the outcome, right? We're trying to sell the person the time back, what they ultimately want, right? That's pretty much the theme of every single call. That's been when I've been talking to people. They just want their time back. They want to have less of stress. They want to remove quote unquote lower tier people within their organization, and that's it. And yeah, I know I haven't really closed much this week, but still at the same time, this is what people are talking about, and it is what it is. I learned a lot this week, and next week we're just gonna see what it is, how it goes, whatever. This past reframe for like the AI assistant, it honestly didn't get the best metrics on the ads and stuff like that. Pretty terrible for performance. So if you look here in the ads, let's see, so we've got the autofocus in, so we're good. I disabled it because at this point, like when I went into the, when I went into the actual like video itself on, say, Wistia, it wasn't really even getting that metrics, And honestly, this result here is bullshit, because I think I was doing something earlier and I triggered the result, and I think it's honestly from me. I don't even think it's from the ad. So terrible metrics. The click-through rate, it's kind of shaky. No costs per, no decent cost per results. So like bookings is what we're trying to optimize for. Yeah, it's just kind of messy here. And what we're trying to do here is pretty much the same thing, going back to the original ad set angles, non-technical people, busy people who want an advantage in the area. And the only difference here is actually going to be the ad itself. So let me see if I can pull up the ad. Wait 1 second. Let me just make sure it's recording. Yes, let me just pull up the ad. It's on this other screen here. And what we're gonna be doing is show you the ad. So let me show you a few creatives here. So I'm just gonna show you like 3. I created 5 of these, but they're pretty much in essence all the same. And you'll see here in just a sec, the idea behind it. And the idea is pretty much the same thing. Very minimal change, still sticking to the image ads. And we're pretty much just trying to sell them the outcome. Get 15 hours back per week in 12 weeks, save 15 hours per week challenge, guaranteed. Get 15 hours back per week in 90 days. So very small iterations like this, but the main thing really is just the copy or the headline. That's like the big thing here, the headline. And very little change, if anything, on the landing page. It's really just the hook here. I'm gonna be testing whether or not it gets people in, and then we're just gonna see whether or not we start getting any bookings off that, So we'll see, And it's been quite a pivot since, last week with the OpenClaw thing. But the issue here is that it just dried up so fast. What the fuck? Why did it dry up so fast? What the hell happened? Is it because of the area? Is it because I burnt through the audience that was actually really into OpenClaw in the environment? What is it? I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's a pool of people in the environment. There's a pool of people, and it's not like all over the world. I can't surface this all over the world unless I have people all over the world doing this shit. But unfortunately now I'm in the area. I'm trying to service these people in the area, and I don't know. That kind of gives me some ideas. What if I can, get people who actually know how to set this shit up as potential people who can service others? You know what I mean? Just a random side thought. Hadn't thought of it, but I mean, it would make sense if I can get these offers rolling anywhere around the United States. That would be pretty valuable if you ask me. But yeah, I think that's going to be for today, the wrap. New offer change, and tomorrow we got these ads going up. I already pushed the changes to the site live, and yeah, we're going to see what happens tomorrow.